Last time on Dragon Ball Z, the future is doomed. All but 2 Z fighters have died at the hands of the dreadful androids. It seems all is hopeless. However, Bulma has developed a secret plan to save the future. In theory, she will send one of the heroes back in time to change the course of the past. However, the machine is far from complete. In the meantime, Gohan has taken on Trunks as his pupil, teaching him all he can about Ki. Even after losing his arm, Gohan is an incredible adversary. Every day, the son of Vegeta gets closer to achieving Super Saiyan. Gohan himself has been training, attempting to achieve a level beyond. However, everything changes one fateful day as Gohan allows for Trunks to come with him to battle against the androids. Will our heroes be able to defeat the androids once and for all? The future is changed now. The restless hands of time. What if Trunks died instead of future Gohan?
Gohan and Trunks rushed over to the city where the androids were attacking. There was no time to lose. If they could save even one life, then it would have been worth it. Gohan had debated with himself whether or not to allow the young Trunks to follow him on his crazy misadventures, but he needed as much help as possible. Finally, the pair arrived to find it in ruins. Gohan couldn't fathom the amount of death the androids had caused. Trunks thought the city truly seemed like hell as he looked up to find no sky, just darkness. Then the pair heard the voice of a crying woman. The two opened their auras, rushing to save her. There they were, the androids. Android 18 leaned back against the car, watching her brother threaten the woman with a face full of Ki. This was nothing but game to both of them. Trunks rushed in first, not listening to Gohan's pleas. He managed to hold on to the woman. Just as 17 blasted, he got away with barely a scratch. He was fast enough to only have his leg touched. Trunks left the woman behind the building. "Go! Hurry! We haven't got much time!" Trunks rushed back to see Gohan is already in battle against the two androids. Gohan had a disadvantage, since he did not have one of his arms. Even in his Super Saiyan state, he stood no chance. Trunks arrived at the scene, blasting at Android 18. Now it was 2 on 2. But the androids seemed to never run out of steam. The battle continued for some time, with the two warriors clearly losing. All Gohan had in mind now was protecting Trunks, who was getting worn out. Gohan pushed 17 off of Trunks. However, 18 stayed behind with the kid. Gohan looked back to see Trunks pushed back against the wall, and 18 pointing her finger against his chest. He tried to turn back to save him, but 17 pummeled his face onto the ground, creating a small crater. As Gohan's face hit the ground, all he saw was a flash of light, as Trunks' hand flopped to the ground. Gohan couldn't feel his pupil's Ki anymore. It was all his fault. Gohan felt guilty for having brought him along. What was he going to tell Bulma? He had once more failed. All his emotions swirled around inside of him, and Gohan's aura erupted into one full of life and electricity. The androids were taken aback as Gohan stood up. The crater around him became larger, as Gohan was finally able to achieve a level beyond that of Super Saiyan. Though he worked on it for a long time, this was the pivotal moment. Gohan disappeared, just to reappear while punching Android 18 into 17. He flipped backwards to make space, firing a giant attack against the androids. When the smoke cleared, the two androids were covered in dust, clothing ripped. The two went in for an attack, but Gohan was able to defend himself by blocking mostly with his legs. 17 missed a punch, which gave Gohan the opportunity to kick him away. Gohan then grabbed 18 by the arm, throwing her into the ground. This was it. He put his full force into the tip of his 2 fingers, preparing a special beam cannon, Piccolo's old Makan Kozapo technique that both killed Goku and saved Gohan. 18 didn't have much time to dodge, but 17 emerged from below, putting his arms out to stop the attack. 18's eyes widened. She had been saved by her brother. 17's hands were pushed back, not being able to hold back the attack. 17 yelled at her sister to run, and she did not have much choice. Just as the beam pierced through 17's hands and chest, 17 smiled. The cannon actually hit the bomb inside of his chest, and it blew up along with the rest of him. Gohan and the rest of the city were engulfed in a flash of light. Gohan wakes up a few minutes later, in a completely empty space. Most of the buildings were gone, and he was badly hurt. He looked around and saw Trunks' body under some rubble. Without saying anything, he carried the boy to his home. A few months passed without an android attack, as 18 seemingly went into hiding for now. Gohan felt awful about Trunks, and all he wished for was for the Dragon Balls to be around. If only he knew where New Namek ended up, but he couldn't risk leaving Earth unprotected while he traveled on a ship for months. Bulma couldn't forgive Gohan for allowing Trunks to come along, but she knew that Gohan was her only hope. He wanted to make things right, to bring her son back some way somehow. So, not long after the funeral, Bulma had an extreme drive to finish the time machine, finishing it much quicker than in the normal time. Gohan was to go back in time with it. Their plan was to give Goku the heart medicine and change the future in that way. The time machine disappeared with Gohan inside of it. Once in the past, Gohan hid behind rocks as he waited for Frieza and King Colt to arrive. You remember that day as if it was yesterday. The Z fighters had also arrived and were debating on how to approach the situation. Future Gohan smiled while watching them from afar.
Don't worry, guys. Father will save you.
Unlike Trunks, in this situation, Gohan knows how Goku saves the day, so he doesn't feel the need to help, at least not yet. However, Frieza and King Colt began blasting around, damaging the world. Goku was taking longer than Gohan thought he would. Vegeta stepped up to them, but he wasn't strong enough yet to take both of them on. Gohan is about to help out, yelling out,
"Hey!
However, he was interrupted by somebody else.
Hey, Frieza!"
Goku's voice said as the sound of instant transmission rang. Future Gohan smirked. His father had just arrived in time, no need to intervene. And just as he remembered, Goku saved them from the Frieza Force once more. But he realized something. That technique Goku used there, he had forgotten all about it. As the Z fighters greet each other, Future Gohan walked up to Goku. Everyone looked confused, but Piccolo tilted his head. Goku felt it too. The young man's ki felt similar to Gohan's. Future Gohan tried to keep his cool around all of his old friends, whom he hadn't seen in a long time. Goku agreed to talk to the man, and Gohan had to hold back the urge to hug his father. To get him to trust him, Gohan showed off his Super Saiyan 2 state, though he quickly went back to base because of the huge toll it took on him. Vegeta damned the world at first sight of it. Unknown to him, a little machine was taking samples of his DNA. Gohan explained to him that the androids were going to show up, and gave him the heart medicine. He then focused on his eyes, and told him exactly who he was, and what had occurred. Goku stood there quietly, pulling Gohan in for a hug. Future Gohan nearly burst into tears, while present Gohan watched them, wondering just what the hell was going on. Gohan told Goku that he wanted to bring Trunks back, but he didn't have time to go back and look for the Dragon Balls and travel to Namek. He also had no control over his new Super Saiyan state. Goku smiled.
Well, you have a time machine, don't you? You have all the time you need right now.
Gohan was surprised by how smart that statement was, and he smiled brightly. Gohan told his father that he obtained a new form of Super Saiyan, the one that he had just shown off, but he only obtained it through anger. He needed to train himself to control it, but that it was possible to go beyond. Goku smiled at the challenge. With that, Gohan left. He thought that once he returned to the future would be different. It wasn't. As it turns out, time travel worked differently than what Gohan and Bulma had theorized. Gohan felt defeated. There was no way to bring back Trunks. But then he thought of something. What Goku had told him. So he needed to see Goku one more time. But first, they needed to refuel the time machine. During that time, news reports began about attacks showing up once again. Android 18 was at large. Gohan managed to fend her off, but she always managed to escape. Without a key sign, there was no way for him to find her. To the Z fighters in the past, no more than a week had passed. To Gohan, it had been a whole month after refueling. Future Gohan met one more time with Goku, telling him that the future did not change. He would help this timeline deal with the androids while learning instant transmission and control over his Super Saiyan state. His plan was that once he went back to his own time, he'd teleport to New Namek, revive Trunks, and return to Earth before Android 18 could attack. Gohan then asks Goku if he can teach him the instant transmission. Goku explains that he couldn't really do that. Not exactly, but he could at least take him to learn it. But the stage was set. While the Z fighters trained for the arrival of the androids, Gohan was taken to Yardrat by Goku, where he would learn to use the instant transmission along with attempting to control his Super Saiyan 2 state. By the time the 3 years had passed, Gohan had become a true master of Ki. Not only were his abilities as a Super Saiyan 2 impressive, but his base form power was like nothing they could have imagined. He even made sure to locate new Namek in his new timeline, though it took quite some time, since he wasn't sure the location. It took him a week of trying to find them, but he didn't want to ask for help. He was testing himself.
Hey kids, don't go away. We'll be right back. And now back to our show.
Time passed, and it was finally the day of reckoning. He thanked Pibara for all his help. Aside from instant transmission, he also learned a few tricks that Goku did not, thanks to having spent so much time there. Gohan returned to Earth, just as Goku started fighting against Android 19. Surprisingly, Goku's Super Saiyan state was stronger than that in the original story, thanks to Goku having knowledge of Super Saiyan 2. This had pushed him to try an experiment, even finding Super Saiyan Grade 3 and the like. Goku is clearly winning against 19, but this tremendous power actually takes a harder toll on his heart, and he begins to be taken over by the heart virus. Gohan is disappointed by the fact that his father hadn't been taking the medicine, but Vegeta rushed in to save the day. He called himself Super Vegeta, and really took down 19. It seemed to Gohan that Vegeta may actually be a little stronger than Goku in this Super Vegeta state. Gohan was impressed by the fact that both of them had achieved such a level above Super Saiyan, but below Super Saiyan 2. Gohan tells his younger self to help his father, while the others pursue Dr. Gero. Gohan tells the others to let him be, as they need to find out where the hiding base is. However, he was not about to let him free the androids. Gohan warned them about the power, but Vegeta actually began to argue against them. He wanted to see just how strong these androids were. This led to a couple of punches being thrown, but it was too late. Not only were 17 and 18 active, but 16 as well. However, Gohan was ready. In an instant, he turned into a Super Saiyan 2. While Vegeta used his Super Vegeta state, Gohan rushed at 18, with fury in his eyes. He calmed himself. He needed to focus. Meanwhile, 17 confronted Vegeta. Both the Saiyans were winning against the androids, until 16 stepped in to help 17. Vegeta was no match for both their powers combined. Gohan let himself be grabbed by 18, as 16 charged up a huge blast from his arm to attack Vegeta. Using his only arm, Gohan placed 2 fingers against his forehead, teleporting himself and 18 in front of Vegeta, where she was killed by 16's blast. 17 was in disbelief, as he went in to attack Gohan, but he had another ace under his sleeve. Gohan cloned himself in order to help Vegeta fight against 16. While he didn't know who this android was, he now knew where 18 could be hiding, and that there is another android to destroy in the future. The battle was intense, as 16 was very powerful, but he stood no chance against the 2 Saiyans. Meanwhile, 17 attempted to escape once prompted to by 16. Gohan wasn't about to let that happen, and Piccolo helped out by getting in the way. Gohan used the Kienzan to stop 17, ironically cutting off the opposite arm that he had lost. He finally ended him with a huge Kamehameha. 16 wrapped himself around Gohan, about to explode, but just then, his younger self arrived, shooting a Masenko at 16. 16 was pushed back, if only temporarily. Goku was still recovering, but the 3 Saiyans finished off 16 with a final flash, Masenko, and Kamehameha. It seemed like they had done it, and Gohan smiled happily at the sky. Gohan went over to Goku's home, where Chi-Chi instantly recognized him, even though she couldn't believe it. Gohan told Goku that they defeated the androids, but Goku was sad that he didn't get to partake in the fight, and that he still has so much to learn in order to go further beyond. Gohan hugged his family one more time, before returning to the future. A mere hour passed since Bulma saw Gohan, and she was glad to see him back. Gohan told her that he will be right back, putting 2 fingers up to his forehead, and teleporting to planet Namek. Once there, he introduced himself as Gohan. Dende greeted him cheerfully, asking what he needed. Gohan explained the situation, and asked to use the Dragon Balls. The Namekians gladly helped. Gohan wanted to bring everyone back, all of his old friends, but Trunks especially. He was the future, he was hope, and he had robbed Bulma of that. Gohan asked 2 wishes from Porunga. One was to create the world as it was before the android attack, so buildings sprung from nowhere, and the other was to bring back everyone who had been killed by the androids. Porunga okayed it. Gohan thanked Dende and Muri before teleporting back to Earth. He was glad that they had updated the Dragon Balls, since the last time they saw them. Gohan finally gets to see Trunks with his mother. Everyone cried happily, as it seemed like the world would finally return to peace. Soon, different Z-Fighters started showing up to Capsule Corp, including Krillin, Tien, and many more. Even Vegeta entered Capsule Corp at the last second. This was the first time Trunks saw his father. Vegeta didn't pay much attention to him, but he did pat his head. and Bulma jumped to hug him. However, there was one piece left in the puzzle. 1 or 2 months passed. The door to Dr. Jiro's secret lab burst open, and Gohan, Bulma, and Trunks entered. There, they find Android 18. She instinctively attacks Trunks. However, the boy turns into a Super Saiyan, dodging her fists. Gohan blasts her into a wall. He tells her to give up, that she can't go around killing any more people. She is about to activate Android 16, but Trunks unsheaths the sword and slices her robotic hand off. In one last-ditch effort, 18 goes in to kill Bulma, who was standing right outside the door. Just as 18 passes through the entrance, she realizes that Bulma had a dozen warriors around her, ready to fire their attack. Bulma jumped back from the cliff, landing on Yajirobe's car, and saw Gohan and Trunks ready to attack as well. She tried blasting at Gohan one final time, but it was too late. It was over. Gohan and Trunks destroyed the lab and returned to Capsule Corp. The world was finally at peace, with everybody rebuilding their society. Gohan moved back in with his mother, whom he hadn't seen in many years. He was finally going to have time to study, though he would always keep up with his training in case of an emergency. However, one day, Trunks, Bulma, and Gohan were working on the time machine together. Gohan wanted to pay everyone a visit. Bulma invited them to go inside and have a glass of lemonade while she worked on the time machine. They happily agreed. It all seemed okay until they heard the screams of Bulma. The fighters ran outside just in time to see the time machine up in the sky, leaving for a different time. Bulma laid on the floor. Trunks lifted her up, but all she could say was something about a giant green bug. She caressed her son's face before passing away. Gohan's heart dropped as he realized there was something he missed. Someone took the time machine, but who? Why? Whatever it wasn't good, and they needed to rebuild it now. Trunks looked into the logs of the time machine, and it said H767, the same year Gohan had just returned from. Gohan turns to Trunks and says,
"We have to go back."
Thanks for watching. This was a lot of fun to make, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the bell icon so you get notified when I upload new videos. Shout out to these guys who answered the Dragon Ball question of the week last time. I got a bunch of wonderful responses. The Dragon Ball question of the week this week is, what time period in Dragon Ball would you go to if you had Trunks' time machine? Leave it in the comments down below with hashtag DBQ, and you may be featured in the next video. Anyways guys, until we meet again. See ya!
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Smugstick, unless you want to be destroyed. Lord Beerus, that's hardly fair. But also, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when he uploads new videos.